I think, guys, we should start. We're getting late. It's 30 minutes later already from the time.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Sorry for the delay. We are just waiting for to clear one issue. We'll be starting in 2 minutes.
Okay.
A very good afternoon. Hello everyone and welcome to today's session, a webinar on current scenario, scope and challenges in pharma industry, organized by Association of Pharmaceutical Research and Scientific Partner BioLeaks Worldwide and Research Partner United Innovators. Before we get into the session, let's know about APR. Association of Pharmaceutical Research is one of the world's leading professional associations caring for the people. It is a non-profitable professional association meant for research and development in the field of pharmaceutical science and technology. APR is an international forum for researchers, academicians, doctors, practitioners for sharing knowledge and innovation in the field of pharmaceutical science and technology. APR meets with objectives through academic networking, meetings, conferences, projects, research publication, academic awards, and scholarships. APR brings together pharmacologists, life scientists, pharmaceutical practitioners, and researchers to advance the application of pharmaceutical science and technology to the public. APR delivers access to its members the industry's most essential technical information by organizing conferences, workshops, annual convention meetings, and providing networking opportunities both locally and globally. In today's session, we have two speakers with us, Dr. Ajit Singh and Mr. Bhaskar Napte from India. I would like to welcome our first speaker, Dr. Ajit Singh. Dr. Ajit Singh, co-founder. Dr. Ajit Singh is co-founder, Chief Executive Officer at Climate Research Solutions, a young entrepreneur and scientist, has completed his PhD in cardiology from eminent Manipal Academy of Higher Education, a leading organization in research and education in India. Recently, he has been appointed as research scientist for ICMR at the Department of Medicine, Kasturba Medical College, Manipal. He is also serving as National Director for Research at World Youth Heart Federation and Principal Investigator for Manipal Heart Failure Registry. In July 2021, he has been appointed as Vice President of Medical Artificial Intelligence Wing at Indica AI, Mumbai. He has published more than 40 papers in different streams of medicine, including cardiology, cardio-oncology, and infectious diseases. He is the investigator and site coordinator for many international clinical trials. Dr. Singh serves as honorary reviewer in many reputed journals, including Oxford Group, DMJ Group, and Springer Group of Journals. Dr. Singh has been appointed as editor-in-chief for Journal of Basic and Clinical Cardiovascular Research. He is also an editorial board member of several medical journals. He has received several international research and travel grants from esteemed organizations including European Society of Cardiology, Indian Council for Medical Research, DST-SCRB, and American College of Cardiology. He received the Young Achievers Award 2019 and Young Scientist Award 2020 in cardiology research. It's a great pleasure and we feel privileged to have you with us, sir. We would love to hear from you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for the nice introduction, Ms. Janvi, and thank you for inviting me, the organizers, and Ms. Ramya, who were constantly, was in touch with me for, all the dates, all the, links, and all the follow-ups. So thank you very much for inviting me at this, great platform where I can share my, views and very hot topic and very much considered topic where everyone is talking about career opportunities and scopes of pharmacy, right? So I we also try to cover the things. I'll talk about scope for the pharmacy students and what are the career opportunities after that in a little details, and then we'll go for the challenges. What kind of challenges a fresher student can face when they are looking into the industry, looking into the career aspects, whether it is industry, academia, or research, anywhere, right? So we'll be covering those things. So let me share my screen. Just let me know whenever it is visible. Okay,
Yes, sir, you're visible.
I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Yes, thank you very much. So before I start this, I'm being a pharmacy professional. So I have seen many things. I have done first the B Farm, and then I have shifted to PharmD. So I have seen both the aspects, and then I went to American College of Cardiology to study heart failure, and then I came back and studied PhD completely from the medical background, completely from the heart failure background in cardiology department at KMC Kasturba Medical College, Manipal. Okay, so I have seen that array of different backgrounds, the array of diversity. So I have seen many things. I have faced many challenges. So I'll take a little bit of challenges what I have faced, and then but I'll start with the basics of what are the scopes, career opportunities, and challenges for pharmacy students are there, right? So as we know, in pharmacy there are multiple courses and degrees. It starts with the uh, diploma in pharmacy, the 2 years course, and then it goes to the B pharmacy, bachelor of pharmacy for 4 years, and then it goes to the M farms in different streams, different specializations, whether it is pharmaceutical analytics, pharmacy practice, pharmacology, pharmaceutics, regulatory affairs. Many streams are there in pharmacy. Then it goes to super specializations of PhDs. We have MTech integrated. We have MTech in pharmaceutical sciences. We have MBA in pharmaceutical sciences. We have integrated MBAs with bachelor's degrees. So you can go to the pharmacy field from different specializations, different degrees, and you can enter to a job after the diploma itself. And then but your level of the job, level of the career opportunities will be different for different people at different level. If you're entering from the D Farm diploma of pharmacy, you will be you'll be going mostly to the community pharmacy or hospital pharmacies, and you will be serving people. And then from if you're looking for bachelor of pharmacy, then you can go to different field of research. You can go to industry, you can go to academia, and as similarly, after M.Pharm, because you are super specialized, you will go to the super specialized, research areas, super specialized academic areas as a teacher, faculty. And you can choose the government jobs. Multiple things are there, right? So let's start with my presentation. Here, we can see the career aspects, all the career aspects for the pharmacy students. So these things, see, if you start with this, let me pointer options. Okay, so here, so if you start with the like suppose you are a diploma of pharmacy, So you can look into the hospital and community pharmacy. After diploma of pharmacy, you can be a hospital pharmacist. You can take care of the drugs. You can take care of the dispensing. You can, look into the, inventories. So, and then you can go to the community pharmacy. You can work as a community pharmacist and, help the people in community. Then if you are, at the bachelor's level, then you can go into any of these. Any of these, you can go to pharmacovigilance. You can go to pharmaceutical marketing. You can go to regulatory affairs. You can go to quality control and assurances. You can go to medical writing and journalism. You can go to pharmaceutical marketing. But for the pharmaceutical manufacturing and marketing, you need a super specialization kind of thing also. Like you need M Pharms, you need PhD sometimes, and you need MBA marketing for marketing in pharma or simple marketing. So it depends. Otherwise, if you are directly looking into the pharmaceutical marketing, manufacturing, and all, your pay scale will be less. Your level of entry into the into the industry will be quite low, right? But if you are masters or super specialized in that field, your level of entry, your salary, your career aspect, your job profile will be really good, right? So these are certain areas, like pharmaceutical manufacturing, regulatory affairs. So I'll tell you one by one what are these things in our next slides, and then you can go to the academics as a teacher, faculty, researcher, and then you can go to the R&D where these drugs are being manufactured. These drugs are being into the these tablets and all other forms are being manufactured. And then you can go to the clinical trials. So clinical trials, it should be whether it is phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, anything, post marketing surveys, and many things. All the clinical trial things are involved in this perspective. You can go to the clinical trials. But nowadays, for the pharmacy field, in the pharmacy practice is one of the emerging field. Okay, since like last 4 5 years, pharmacy practice is emerging. As the government of India, I mean the Pharmacy Council of India has introduced this post doctor of pharmacy practice. From 2008, and then they have started coming into the market since 2012, 2013, and 2014. As their first batch was coming. So now these things have been changed a little bit. Like if you're going to the hospitals, you will be you will be a clinical pharmacist. You will be associating with the patients. You will be checking the patient's profile. You will be checking the patient's records. You will be looking into the prescriptions. You will be auditing the prescriptions for drug interactions, for the medication related problems and medication errors. Multiple things can be done when you are a clinical pharmacist. And being a clinical pharmacist, you can do other jobs also. You can be a helping hand for nurses. You can be a helping hand for the entire healthcare system, right? So and another area for PharmDs, doctor of pharmacies, is the clinical trials. Okay, they can go to the clinical trials. Why they can go to the clinical trials? Why they are preferred into the clinical trials? Because they have that direct interaction with the patient. Okay, they are the key. They are the key element. They are the key element between patients and the other healthcare. They are the key elements between the patient's data and research. Okay, between the research industries or the CROs or whatever research activities are going at institutional level. So they are more moreover into the clinical trials, clinical research, and as a clinical pharmacist, right? And but they can go to the medical writing also. They can go to the journalism, medical journalism. They can go to the pharmacovigilance also, because they have the good knowledge of drugs. They have the the entire kind of knowledge of drugs. They have the knowledge of side effect profile. They have the knowledge of drug interactions. They have the knowledge of ADRs. They have the knowledge of multiple things. Moreover, so they can go to these areas mostly. And where the M Farm super specialized and B Farm people can go to the pharmaceutical manufacturing, regulatory affairs, quality control, quality assurance, and pharmaceutical marketing, R&D, and all, right? So let's go to the next slide and see how it goes. Next slide, also the pharmacy tree, pharmacist career tree. Okay, so this is the career tree for a pharmacist, job opportunities and work area. So there are three things. One is industry, one is other settings, one is practical, practice setting. So practice setting, as I told, one is community. At the basic level, at the first level, community is the level of starting for doctor of pharmacy. Sorry, for the diploma of pharmacy, D farms. So they can start with the community pharmacy, but it is not only for D farms. B farms and farm Ds also can do wonders at community, because they have the more knowledge. They have the knowledge of drug cells, so they have the knowledge of side effects. So in communities in India, India is the one of the at the level of the least level of the least in the community services, because we do not have community pharmacists properly. The community pharmacy is not developed well in India. Community pharmacy is not practiced in India perfectly. So we really need good pharmacists, good community pharmacists who can take care of the community, who can take care of the ADRs in communities, who can take care of the malpractices in community, who can take care of the epidemiological problems in the community, who can take care of the medication errors in the community. Because people usually in Indian scenario, what happens? See, I have a little cold. If I'm having a cold, I'll go to the pharmacist. I'll not go to the doctor. I'll go to the pharmacist. Why? Kuch dawai de do, medicine de do, because I have this cold and fever. Okay, so they will give that medicines, right? They'll give that medicines. If you are perfect at your job, if the if the people are perfect at job, they will give, they will they will be updated about the drugs, they will be updated about things, and they will be updated about the adverse effect, and they will practice it well, right? And then in hospitals, hospital pharmacist, prescription pharmacist, and this dispensing pharmacist, that can be D farm or B farm. And then it comes to the clinical pharmacist. So clinical pharmacists are moreover these are either M farm practice, pharmacy practice, or farm days, right? Because they have to work with the patient, and they are learning those things, they're learning those aspects of all the clinical aspects of the patient's and symptoms, and therapeutics, pharmacology, where they're studying those parts where they can help the patient really. So these are the levels at the practice settings where you can get a really good scope of jobs, right? And then the industry. As industry, if you are a pharmaceutical guy, M-Pharm in pharmaceutics, then you can go to the production. Then if you are M-Pharm in quality assurances and different things, there are regulatory affairs, marketing, pharmacy management. So different streams are there. Pharmacology. So you can choose your area based on that. You can go to the packaging, you can go to the regulatory affairs, you can go to the pharmacovigilance, you can go to the sales and marketing, you can go to the research and development, anywhere based on your specialization. Even after B Farm also you can go, but your level of entry, as I told, will be a little less. Your salary level, job profiles will be quite less. But if you are super specialized like M Farm, why I'm talking about higher educations, because nowadays bachelors and diplomas are very common. So if you are having the higher education, your job profile will be good, your chances of promotions will be good, your chances of growth will be really good in industry, right? And then other than that, there are three more settings, very important settings. One is regulatory affairs. Okay, that regulatory means it could be pharmacovigilance. Okay, pharmacovigilance means the watch on the drug. So pharmacovigilance means in the CROs. So CROs and drug information centers, and poison information centers, and our PCI, not PCI actually, IPC, Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission. So they exactly look into the drugs, they look into the malpractices, they look into the practice of the drugs all over India, right? This is about India. And these regulatory people can even involved in the international regulatory bodies, international regulations, rule and regulations about the drugs, about the drug practices, right? So you can go to the pharmacovigilance. And then clinical research. Clinical research I'll describe in the next slide, because clinical research is a vast area, and we can really make a good career in clinical research differently, totally a separate and independent career opportunity as a clinical researcher. Then it is academics. So there are two type of things. One is clinical research. So that clinical research could be industrial or institutional, right? And in academics, again, there are two things. One is teaching and research. So when it is talking about the research in academics, it is like when you are assistant professor, associate professor, professor in any college, you can pursue the researcher, you can pursue the research, you can write the grants, you can get the grants, you can, you can contribute to the research, you can contribute to the any kind of research. Like being a pharmaceutics guy, you can write, you can develop the drug, you can, if being a regulatory affairs guy, you can, come up with some good regulations, and being a analysis guy, you can come up with some good extraction from the plant. Being a pharmacognosy guy, you can come up with good molecules. So that kind of research comes under academics. Okay, and teaching, that you can start from the lecturer, you can become the tutor, and then you can become the associate professor, assistant professor, associate professor. You can go up to the dean and the director of the college. So there is a huge scope. Of course, it always depend on your efficacy, and your efficiencies and your good career graph, whatever you have achieved in your bachelor's and master's and PhDs. If you're PhD, definitely you will be preferred, right? So you have a really good career scope in academics. And academics, you will be teaching so many students. You will be spreading the knowledge. You will be guiding them. So the guiding again comes under the research. When you're guiding the students, you're guiding them into their career path. You're guiding them into the research, pursuing the research and in different fields. So you have a really great career in academics and research also. Okay. So let me go to the next slide. This is a quite dense slide, but it shows everything in detail. Okay, it shows everything in detail, all the career opportunities. Like first, let me start with the government jobs. People talk about the government job. People talk about the teaching, research. I'm talking about the production. I'm talking about the pharmaceutical marketing. Okay, and entrepreneurship. These are the career opportunities. Okay, till now we have talked about the scope of pharmacy student in different fields. Now let's talk about the exact roles. What kind of roles they can get in the pharmaceutical industry or anywhere. So let's start with the government job. So if you are thinking government jobs are not there for the for the pharmacy students, you are wrong. See, you can become the hospital pharmacist in government hospitals. Definitely. After D Farm, after B Farm, or Farm D. I mean, it is up to you totally. Okay, eligibilities are starting from the diploma of pharmacy and till pharmacy, till M Farm, PhD, or till anywhere. If you want to become the hospital pharmacist in college, definitely you can become the hospital pharmacist in government hospitals. Okay. Then drug inspectors. After bachelor's, you can directly apply for the drug inspector. You just have to clear the exams of CDSCO, and then you can go to the drug inspector. After people nowadays people have that myth that after PharmD people cannot go to drug inspector job, they cannot go to CDSCO. Guys, you're wrong. My friends, my juniors are there in the CDSCO. They are working as assistant drug inspector, or now there are senior drug inspectors as well in Delhi and Ranchi. I can give you many examples of that. Okay. So if you are B Farm and good in reading, you just have to clear the CDSTO exam and you can become the drug inspector. Okay, and then government analytical labs are there. Government analytical labs are there which are hiring bachelors and masters of masters in pharmaceutics, masters in analytics, masters in regulatory affairs to work there. Okay, and if you are in R&D, if you are in regulatory affairs, if you are in management, you can go to the forensic labs of the Indian government. Okay, then you can become the lecturers and demonstrators in medical colleges. And nowadays, pharmacy colleges are there in India. NIPERs are there. Okay, NIPERs are there. NIPERs are Government of India colleges, right? So you can go to the NIPERs also, and starting from assistant professor, you can become assistant professor, associate professor, professors, directors. You can be the government employee, and you can earn a lot from that. Okay, so there is a huge scope for huge scope in the government setups also, huge scope in the government settings also. Government is also offering a lot of jobs, different kind of jobs. And in government only, I'll tell you, IPC, Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission, they are providing the jobs on contractual basis and permanent basis. If you look at the IPC website, they give different announce different kind of jobs for at every entry level. If you are B Farm, if you are PharmD, if you are PhD, if you are masters in any subject, they're providing these opportunities. They are publishing on contractual basis also, on permanent basis also. You just have to go, you just have to find the eligibility, proper eligibility, you can apply. Okay, so government jobs. And then I'll come to the scope of pharmacy in the as an entrepreneurship. Okay, so entrepreneurship, first of all, you can go to the production. Okay, you can start your own labs, you can start your own pharmacy company, you can start your own setup of manufacturing. You can start your own analytical labs for testings and chemical testing, drug testing, and API and many things you can start. Okay, and then that could be your small level, your large level productions. Then the third thing is you can start the contract research organization where you can perform the research, clinical research. And clinical research, you can be a data management organization, you can be medical writing organization, you can be regulatory affairs organization, you can be pharmacovigilance organization, you can be any kind of CROs are having the vast scope for entrepreneurship, right? So you can go there. And nowadays many important a very important thing is you can come to the education. Okay, you can come to the education, you can provide the education to everyone. So there are many things to become the entrepreneur. You can be into the supply chains. Okay, that I have not mentioned here. That is not mentioned in this article. You can be into education. You can be into supply chain. What is supply chain? You can be the you can be the drug supplier. You can be the medical devices supplier. You can be any kind of like vaccine supplier. You can be different at different levels also. You can be like retailer. You can be wholesaler. You can do anything. Okay, that everything comes under the entrepreneurship. Whatever work you are doing is it's coming under entrepreneurship. You can own your chemist shop. So there are multiple aspects of being entrepreneur in after pharmacy. When many are working in the field of entrepreneurs, they become the successful entrepreneurs after their bachelor's, masters, or PhDs. So one thing is that in the teaching, salary levels are really good. Salary levels are really good. You can go up to see, as you see here, you can go up to 5 lakh per month if you are a director of a college, if you are a principal of a college, if you are really good in the government settings. In academics, you can go up to 5 lakh per month, and minimum salary starts from 25,000 per month. Minimum. I mean, nowadays, see, it depends on the college, it depends on your level, it depends on the conditions also. People are still paying 18,000, 20,000, but minimum salary, if you take it was 25,000 long back. Nowadays in government settings, if you start as an assistant professor in NIPA, you will get 70,000. Okay, if you are starting as a assistant professor in NIPERS, you will get 75,000, 70,000 plus. Okay, and then you can go up to 5 lakhs per month. Okay, in the teaching. Then let's come to the pharmacy marketing. As I told you, it comes under entrepreneurship also. Pharmacy marketing also, retailer stores, wholesale stores, and then you can own your own shop, and then you can go to the sales companies. You can go to the sales companies. You can be medical representative. Then you can be you can become the product management. You can go to the product management, and then you can go to the repackaging, packagings, and post marketing things. PMTs, post marketing. So you can go anywhere in the marketing also. Pharmaceutical marketing is a broad area, and every company spends a lot on the marketing. The major part of the funds, major part of the finances, major part of the company's revenue goes to the marketing, because they have to sell their product. They have to reach many doctors. They have to reach many people about that. They have to reach every person in in their country, state, or global level, so they can know about their drugs. They can know about their molecules. They can know about they can purchase their drug. They can use their drugs, right? So you can go to the pharmaceutical marketing, and you can start this career. You can start this pharmaceutical marketing career from D Pharm level itself, diploma of pharmacy from from the D Pharm itself, right? But the salary, as I told you, salary aspect will be different at different level. For D Pharm, it could be maybe 8,000 per month, and maximum salary, if you are really good, you can start up to 50,000, 60,000 per month, and you can go up to 2 to 10 lakh per month in the medical in the medical and the pharmaceutical marketing. Okay, I have seen the vice president of marketing in Cipla, and Eli Lilly in Pfizer. They are earning in lakhs. They are earning 5, 6 lakhs per month. Okay, sometimes they are 8 lakh per month. They are vice president global. They are vice president India. They are vice president of you know. So there are different levels. From it starts from the medical representative, and you can go up to the vice president, president of the company, board of directors of the company in marketing field, right? And you can earn a lot. Then comes to the production. Of course, being a pharmaceutics person, if you are M.Pharm pharmaceutics, PhD pharmaceutics, you can go to the quality control. You can go to the drug manufacturing. You can go to the contract manufacturing. You can go to the bulk drug production. You can go to the herbal extractions. You can go into the any field of these of production, right? And then let's come to the research now. Research is another area where you can get many settings for work, and many domains of the work. Okay, in the clinical research. So clinical research, I'll again tell you about all the domains in next slide. But here, let's see. First is contract research. Contract research organization, CROs, as I told you. So CROs income starts, from 20,000, 25,000. As a CRA, you can join as a, what we tell the basic level, uh, you know, mm, clinical research coordinator, CRC. Okay, you can start as a CRC. So CRCs usually get 20, 30,000 at the institutional level, in the companies, in different CROs. CROs of the companies, like, I'll show you what are the companies, what are the CROs in India, best CROs in India. Okay, so you can start from 20 to 30,000 in the CROs as CRC, clinical research coordinator. Then you can, increase your level to, CRA, clinical research associate, clinical research senior clinical research associate, clinical manager, and then you can clinical research director and transparency manager and all. There are different posts, and you can go up to the director, vice president, president of clinical research, manager clinical research and all. Okay, and here you can see the income. You can earn up to 50 lakhs per year. In the contract research organizations, you can go up to 50 lakhs per year. Okay, service in R&D in the research, industrial research, that is called industrial research. The minimum M.Pharm people gets 25,000 per month, and PhD people get 70,000 per month. As you can see, service in the R&D, M.Pharm pharmaceutics people, M.Pharm R&D, so they can, start from 25,000 as M.Pharm, and PhD can start the job with 70,000 per month at least. Okay, and maximum they can go up to, M.Pharms can go up to 50,000 per month. PhD today can go up to CEO and getting 4 crores per annum. Okay, M.Pharm PhDs can raise their level up to CEO and getting 4 crores per annum. See, check here, 4 crores per annum salary. Okay, and then abroad research, you can move to abroad, and abroad, you know that if you're going to USA, Canada, you can earn in dollars. If you're going to Europe, then you can earn in, euros or dollars in Australia. You can earn in, any currency. You can move to Dubai if you're really good in research. I have seen many people who have, who are working in the research in abroad, right? So they are earning a lot. Then government laboratories that we have discussed, you can go to the, research in government laboratories. You can go to the KPOs, knowledge processing companies, KPCs. Okay, and your income can be up to 1 crore per annum. Okay, then you can go to the medical instruments research, instrumental research. You can go to the device researches. You can go to the herbal drug researches. So these are the, different sections of research where you can, pursue your career, and you can go to the, different career guidelines, career domains in the research field. So let's talk about what are the work fields in the clinical research. Yes, so these are the domains in clinical research. Okay, so competency domains for the clinical research professional, how they can start and where they can go. So you can go to the concept and research design. You can start your work as a, concept and research design worker. You can start from the concepts. You can, you can come up with the idea of research. You can come up with the, gaps which is there, which is available in the field of, pharmacy, whether it is clinical research, whether it is developmental research, whether it is a, pharmaceutical research, whether it is a product research, anything, whether it is a device research. If you feel like, okay, there is a gap in the research, there is a gap in the, field, you can come up with the gap. You can write the proposal. You can come up with the concept. You can, design the entire research. You can be in the ethics committees. You can be, applying for the ethics. You can be in the regulatories. Okay, you can be in the regulators. Being in, clinical research, you can be in the regulatories as a regulatory affair, professional. Okay, you can join CDSCO also. Okay, if you are looking for the government, you can join the CDSCO also. You can join the, other, DCGI also. So our DCGI directors, DCGI, heads are BPharm, MPharm, PhDs. Okay, so you can go to that side also. PhD in patient safety considerations, you can go to that side, and you can write those ECRFs. As it comes to the ethical participation, ethical and participant safety considerations, you can, be into the medical writing. Okay, this is like it is a part of medical writing also. It is a part of regulatory also. It is a, part of, patient safety also. So you can be a patient safety manager, regulatory affairs manager. You can be, medical writing and the medical writing manager. So if you are looking at a different aspect of, ethical writing, ethical considerations, you can be a writer, you can be a regulator, you can be a, manager in different, aspects of this ethics. Okay, so you have the vast scope in that area. Okay, then third, it becomes investigational product development and regulation. Again, see, clinical research start with, it starts with any kind of investigational drug, intervention, or anything. So we need that investigational product. So how to develop that product? What are the things, involved in the production? What are the things, what are the side effects? What are the, side effect profile? What are the interaction profiles? Everything will be developed perfectly when you are developing a drug. When you are developing an investigational product, you need to write everything, you need to maintain everything, you need to fix everything, and then only you will come up with a final product, right? So you can work in that area in the clinical research. And then clinical study operations, you can be CRAs, you can be CRAs, clinical trial managers, and this 4 and 5 clinical study operations. You can search the sites, you can study initiation, site initiations, and documentations and everything. And then study management, and then the site management, audits, everything is there. The site audits at every time. You are going and check how the clinical trials are going on at site, what are the investigations are going, and how they perform the clinical trial, data collection, data management, everything. These are just domains of clinical research. Okay. And then the leadership and professionalism. Leadership and professionalism means you can be the manager level, you can be the director level, you can be the trial management, you can be the principal investigator, you can be the co-investigator, and you can run the entire show, being into the clinical research. Okay. And then communication and teamwork. Communication majorly comes under the medical writing part, because once your study is done, you have to report that to the sponsor, you have to publish that into the journals, you have to make a report and submit to the government regulator. So these things comes under the communication. And definitely teamwork means from every domain you can have the people in your team, and you can work together and approach the best clinical research and results at the end. So these are just the domains, and different levels where you can work as a clinical researcher. Okay. So the top pharma companies in India, as you can see, there are, okay, it starts from the Sun Pharma. Sun Pharma is number one in India, and then Dr. Reddy's, and Divi's Laboratory, then Cipla, Torrent, Lupin, Abbott, Zydus. So these are on the basis of their annual revenue. Okay, this number, this numbers are given based on their revenues. Okay, so starting from Sun Pharma, it ends from Aurobindo Pharma. These are the top 10 companies where you can go into the medical writing, you can go into, not medical writing, you can go into the manufacturing, regulatory affairs, marketing, and other domains. Okay. And then if you check, these are the top clinical research organizations worldwide, not only in India, worldwide. Okay. So like IQVIA, Covens, PPD, PSI, Sinus, and these are the companies, and Cato Research, and Opera Health Sciences, LabCorp. These are the top CRO industries. Okay. And if you look at the clinical academic programs and academic sites, these are the top academic sites and programs, like Cobras College of Health Sciences, Campbell University, Durham Tech, NC Central University, and UNCW, Duke, Wake Forest, and then the Carolina's healthcare system. These are the top clinical sites and academic programs, and different academic programs for the clinical research organizations. And these are the top 6-7 companies: Covens, IQVIA, PPD, Synos, PSI. Okay, worldwide. So you can go to any kind of these CROs. You can start your job as a clinical research coordinator. You can based on your efficiencies, based on your experience, you can start with CRA or CRO or data analyst or in the data management. If you are having the some kind of special skills, like if you know the SPSS, if you are the SAS programmer, you can directly jump with the salary of 50,000, 60,000, 70,000. Okay, you should have those skills. So nowadays these skills are really recommended. If you are skilled, if you are well skilled, if you have the special skills or special knowledge of the softwares, any kind of software. Okay, whether it is pharmacovigilance software, whether it's a medical writing software, whether it is any kind of analytical software, your job profile will start with a better salary, best salary, I'm telling. Okay. So here I'll come to the challenges. What usually the challenges pressures face. So there are different types of challenges. Different types of challenges. One is professional factors, personal factors, and the factors associated with faculties, potential professionals. So for potential professional things, faculty issues means their bosses, their peers in the company. So these things could be faced by them. So if I come to the personal factors, maybe like life events are there, personality factors are there. Some people are not good in communication. Some people are not good in their like they have different types of stress. They do not have the proper motivation. Their learning style is not good, right? Their coping strategy in the company with the peers, with the management, with the company is not that great. So these things affect the people. These things could be the challenges. So once you are, I'll suggest you, so I'll suggest you a few things. Once you are coming out of the industry, coming out of the academia, coming out of the academia, you should be during your academia, or just when you're coming out of the academia, you should go to the first of all, personal development, personality development, communication development, your people management. Okay, these three four things you have to improve. And once you are really good in those things, you can you can face any kind of challenges in the market. You can face any kind of challenge in the industry. You can face any kind of challenges in the academia, anywhere in your career. Okay, so you can be maybe your poor self care, lack of exercise, poor diet. These are the potential personal consequences. And then if you come to the main important factors, potential professional consequences. Impaired job performances. Why these impaired job performances happens? Because of the personal factor, because of the your not proper communication styles, not personal. You don't know how to write the emails. You don't know how to talk to the seniors. You don't know how to communicate yourself, communicate your reports, communicate your things to someone. You don't know how to manage the people around. So those things can impair the job performances, and sometimes dishonesty in the work. So, and then impaired competency. So these could be the professional challenges, and these things can be improved by your personal development courses, your personality development, your communication development, your proper styles, proper learnings. And then there are some of course factors which are associated with your peers, like workload, your curriculum, your system performances. You don't know about the guidelines. You have not read well your see, your marks never justify your knowledge. Okay, so don't go behind the marks. I always tell my students also. I always tell my colleagues, my peers, just learn whatever is coming on your way. Just learn it. Just be perfect in that. Okay, be master of everything. If you are a pharmacist, does not mean that you just have to read pharmacy. You read your personal. First, focus on your personal development. Read how to write the emails. Read how to talk to the people. Read how to communicate. Read how to be a good presenter. Learn how to be a good listener. So these things are perfect to become a good become a good competent in the field of your industry, right? Industry, academia, anywhere, right? So these are the things where we should look into the improvement things and all. So I think that's all for me, guys. If any questions, I would be happy to answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your informative presentation.
Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions?
If anyone wants to contact, they can contact me on this email ID. Oh, I think. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. So, yeah, thank you.
Okay. For those who are just joining us, welcome to a webinar on current scenario, scopes and challenges in pharma industry. And we are in the second part of our session, and we welcome our next speaker, Mr. Bhaskar. Founder, coach, and mentor, Pharma Growth Hub, AR&D and QC Head, MANISHA Analytical Laboratories, Mumbai, ex-manager AR&D in VERGO Pharma Research Laboratories, senior scientist AR&D in Dr. Reddy's Laboratories Limited, Hyderabad, research analyst AR&D in Apotec Research Private Limited, and research officer AR&D Glenmark Research Center. Mr. Bhaskar has 20 years of cross-functional experience in analytical research, QC, and CRO at large pharmaceutical multinationals. Hands-on hands-on experience in oral, topical inhalation, and parenteral dosage forms with deep understanding of regulatory, QMS, method development, validation, and stability. For the last 2 years, he has been helping pharma professionals to get clarity on technical aspects such as method development, method validation, QMS, impurity management, specification design, lab setup, career development, audit and compliance, data integrity, stability study by mostly virtual conferences and webinars. He had an opportunity to work with renowned pharma organizations such as Dr. Reddy's, Apotex, USP, Glenmark. We would love to hear from you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much for nice introduction, Miss Janavi. And thank you so much, APR, for having me share first time. I hope you all can able to see me and hear me. Just give me hi in the chat box, or if you can respond, I can understand. Janavi, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, sir, we can hear you.
Thank you so much for the confirmation. And it's a great pleasure, to be here with all of you. I think the most of the points that I thought of speaking with the students today have been covered by Dr. Ajit Singh, and I'm really grateful for Dr. Ajit for having such comprehensive approach on how the people can build their careers and what are the different opportunities they have in hand. Because many times people do not understand what are the right opportunities available in front of them. And then probably they get stuck at one point, not understanding where to head. So this kind of guidance is truly required. And those who are listening to him, I do not know whether you understand the importance of his talk or not. But being in the industry for last 20 years, I understand how this guidance important is to someone who is just coming out of the college, not having much connection into the pharmaceutical or any industry in that per se. It's a huge one, and we must appreciate Dr. Ajit Singh for giving such a wonderful path for each and everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
I really thank to Dr. Ajit for you first. And, I actually have the presentation as such with me. But what happens, sometimes being a true technical in that perspective, I have made my presentation in the same way. And I do not know how the students, the professors who are attending today's session is going to take this presentation. And with this, the pinch of caution, the cautiousness, I would like to bring the presentation in. But in case if some of the topics are not resonating with you very much, because I completely understand you are coming from the academic background, and yes, sometimes the academic knowledge and what we learn as a professional, they can have a little bit differences. So only with this point, I would like to, please try to focus as much as possible, because, the topics that I'm going to talk today you may not be much familiar with all of them. Right. So with your permission now, let me bring the presentation in, and I hope that you will enjoy the presentation and the talk. Thank you so much. Fantastic. So I hope you all can see the screen now. Yeah, I hope you can able to see the screen. And this is the talk that I would like to have today. And I would like to go a little specific in terms of the scope, the challenges and opportunities, very specifically into the pharmaceutical testing, very specifically into the testing areas. Because I belong to that area. Okay, there is no any specific reason why I selected this topic for today's talk, but I belong to this area, and I believe that I can be a the good person in terms of making you understand why and how you can go into the pharmaceutical testing. So, how many of you would like to go for the the professional careers into the pharmaceutical industry? And I'm sure there are many one, because we the pharmaceutical industry really need the skilled manpower. And that is one of the difficulties, the challenges the all pharmaceutical industry facing. And I'm so happy to meet all of you online because you are going to be the future of the pharmaceutical industry. Thank you so much. Okay, so here we go now. What is the scenario of the current Indian pharmaceutical industry? So before we move on to the challenges and the scope, let us understand the scenario of today's Indian pharmaceutical industry. And if you go one by one, you will be surprised and happy to know that we Indian supplies almost 50 to 60% of the global demand of the vaccines. And you must have seen in the COVID-19 era, when the world was looking for the vaccine, India come first and served the entire world by his vaccine manufacturing capabilities. When it comes to the generic medicines, which are generally made for the US citizens, the generic medicine is the medicine which are out of the patent, right? The medicine gets developed and then it gets protected by the Patent Act. And unless and until the medicine comes out of the patent, and it is a product patent, by the way, no one can manufacture the medicine. And once the patent gets off, the time of generic medicine gets started. So every pharmaceutical industry who has the appropriate licensing for the US market, they now can manufacture the same medicine. And if you look at the share of that particular medicine, we come the first. The 40% of the generic consumed in USA are actually manufactured where? On our motherland, India. So for that reason, you must realize that, there is a lot of great opportunities just lying in front of you. There is no reason why we should get nervous. The third important point is when it comes to manufacturing of these generic medicines, we must have these sites approved by the US FDA. Now, US FDA is the regulatory bodies which take care of the FDA, the US FDAs, the way we have our CDSCO, etc. And they approve the manufacturing plant to make sure that all the required standards are well maintained and followed during the medicine manufacturing. And you must be happy to know that it is very tough accreditation. It's very tough approval. It's very tough licensing when it comes to the medicine sector. The US FDA approval. And I'm sure that you must have heard many news coming up, right? About Sun Pharma, Dr. Reddy's, the Lupin, etc. And people talks about the audit and compliance. Now, this is the area where people get stuck. This is the area where most of the companies get stuck. And look at our strength. We have, after US FDA, we have the second highest number of US FDA approved manufacturing plant. Isn't it amazing to know this fact? Let us understand when it comes to the medicines consumed or dispensed into the United Kingdom. The 25% of the entire medicine which gets dispensed into the UK comes from India. The 25% is a very big market share. It is not about the generic medicine, but it's the whole medicines the UK citizens consume actually comes from the India. The 25% of it comes from the India. Now, there is another important point, and the achievement by the Indian pharmaceutical industry is, there is something called as the abbreviated new drug application, or the ANDA. Now, what is this ANDA? Now, this is nothing but an application submitted to grant the marketing and sale of the generic medicine into the USA. This is just the application submitted to make sure that the manufacturer will be able to the market and sell their generic medicine into the America. And look at the share. Now, the share is 35 to 38% of such application only gets approved from the India. And that's what, when you look the history and the current time, you realize that the generic industry has really boosted the Indian pharmaceutical market. It's the number one reason why we are so proud for our entire the pharmaceutical force. And very recently, the people started looking at India as the pharmacy of the world, the pharmacy of the world, and we have that strength and capacities that we can supply. We can cater the services related to the pharmaceutical industry from our own motherland. And being the part of the pharmaceutical industry, being a pharmacist at any level you are, maybe B Pharm, M Pharm, or the scholar, you must be proud of yourself. So this is a little scenario of the pharmaceutical industry when it comes to the Indian market. Now, there is something which is really important to understand, and I'm sure that these terms may be quite new to you. These terms quite new to you, but these are very important to understand the national regulatory agencies. Now, these are the agencies, right? Every nation has to control and manage their the pharmaceutical products. For example, the USA, the US FDA is the regulatory body. In the UK, the MHRA is the regulatory body. And same is the case for India, CDSCO. And there are few important countries and regulatory bodies that I have highlighted into the red color. Now, why they are so important to us? It's only because of their market size. It's only because of the revenue that we can get generated from those countries. So the manufacturing, the pharmaceutical companies who sell their product into the USA, in America, they get the major revenues. Then come the UK, then the South Africa, the Brazil, the European countries. They are the high revenue market. Now, having said that, it is also very important to understand what are their regulations. We cannot simply launch and market anyone's product inside the USA. There is a huge list of the documentations, the rigorous testing, the bioequivalence studies, the stability studies, method development, method validation. It all requires, the lot of efforts when it comes to launching the product into the respective geographies. And hence, it is very important to acquire and gather those skill and knowledge. So having achieved the level of, you launching yourself into the pharmaceutical industry, you must look forward for such kind of information now. If you wanted to make a career into the pharmaceutical industry, maybe into the manufacturing, maybe into the research, you need to have this information in your hand. When it comes to the worldwide, some of the watchdogs or the regulators of the pharmaceutical industry, the WHO, the ICH, the PICS, the EPIC, and ASEAN comes on the top. We all know that the WHO is the committee which look after the entire countries, how they functions in respective of their pharmaceuticals, the medicines devices, the pharmaceutical products. The guidelines will be provided by the WHO, and there are numerous guidelines which you will come through. And same is the ICH. Now, ICH is prominently made out of the three regions, the US, the European countries, and the Japan. Now, even though it has been getting established by those three different regions, but these guidelines are so important that the entire globe follow those guidelines. It can be about the quality, it can be about safety, it can be about any region of the pharmaceutical product. The ICH guideline always come onto the top. The reason is they are meticulously discussed. They are, they are formed with such an intense gravity that everyone understands why it is important to follow those guidance document. It's like a Gita or Bible for the pharmacist when it comes to the manufacturing of the pharmaceutical product. Okay, so there are some updates coming in the chat box. I really appreciate the updates about some of the regulators. Thank you so much. And when it comes to the scope of analytical sciences, and I'm sure you must have gone through the few of the topics, the few of the techniques, as far as the technique is concerned, the theory part is concerned, but now it is the time you have to implement your theory into a real practical sense. So there are three important as the scope of the analytical sciences when it comes to the pharmaceutical industry. And first one is the qualitative analysis. I'm sure you, being a student of the pharmacy, you must have gone through what is meant by the qualitative analysis. And the qualitative analysis is generally used for the characterization or the identification of your analyze. Because it is very important to know whether the metformin tablet really contains metformin or not. And we know how spurious market is. The people can sell the product with just a placebo and not having any kind of active drug substance. So how one can assure that, yes, the drug product contains the required medication and identification comes into play. At very beginning, we need to understand the structure of the molecule and whole lot of characterization is required. So during that particular stage, the qualitative analysis takes a huge lot of space. And you can do the qualitative analysis by different techniques, and we'll talk about those techniques in the coming few slides. If you look at the major chunk of the testing area of analytical sciences, you will find that a quantitative analysis, because without quantitation, one cannot really standardize the product, because there is a need of certain label claims. There is a need of certain kind of the performance characteristics like disintegration time, like dissolution time, like tablet hardness, etc. So to understand this, we need to quantify those effects, maybe in terms of the assay of the drug substance, the potency of the drug product, the impurity content into a drug product, how drug product get released over a period of time in case if it is a modified dosage forms. The dissolution rate is so important and critical to achieve that clinical effect, therapeutic benefit. So all this needs to be measured by some technique or tool, and that is the quantitative area of the analytical sciences. And I'm sure you will get a lot of such exciting information when you talk about the quantitative analysis. You can talk about HPLC, the different detectors like mass, the ICP, OES, and MES for elemental analysis, dissolution apparatus and technique. Such an amazing techniques, and you will get an experience, an opportunity to experience these techniques when you join the pharmaceutical industry, especially into the quality control or analytical R&Ds. The third scope can be a separation or the purification. It is not only about using this technique for qualitative and quantitative analysis. There are numerous techniques of the analytical sciences which can be used for separation of the different compounds and further getting the purification of those compounds. And one technique which is highly accurate and renowned is called as the preparative HPLC. It's the form of HPLC, the high performance liquid chromatography, but with the commercial scale where we can separate out the different compounds by using a huge HPLC columns. The partitioning can happen. The absorption, desorption of the compound can happen onto the stationary phase, and then the compound gets separated, and by the end, they can be collected as different fractions. The purification becomes easy because of the various analytical tools like precipitation, crystallization. You can name it and you will find applications in the purification. So these are the three important scope, very broadly in generic way when it comes to analytical sciences. Analytical method development and the life cycle management. So if you ask me, the analytical method development, it's not only an activity to be conducted at one point of time. The analytical methods are not just developed at one point of the time, and that is the, okay, now we got the method in the hand and the work is done. No, there is a whole lot of different steps and activities needs to be performed to make sure that the whatever method that you have developed in a lab is really meeting the intended purpose. It can be about understanding the potency of the drug product. It can be about understanding the dissolution rate of your drug product. And hence you need to understand, if you have a new drug product or drug substance in a hand, if you are working in a research team, probably you may find a need to have a suitable analytical method for testing of your product. Now, there can be multiple sources of this method. The first one can be the research articles. You can find those methods published into different renowned research articles. Or if the method is not available there, you can think of taking the reference of different pharmacopoeias. Now, there are different pharmacopoeias available, like you have your pharmacy book, US pharmacopoeia for the US market, Indian pharmacopoeia for Indian market, European pharmacopoeia for European market. So these are the pharmacopoeias. They contain the list of all these different methods for your drug substances or the product. But in case if you're working on some new molecules, and if that molecule is not yet registered in US or European countries or in India, you will not find that particular method into their pharmacopoeias. Sometimes, even though the molecule is registered into the specific market, there is no guarantee that you will get the method over there. And in that case, you will come to know that now if the method is not available, I need to develop a new method. And it can be about by using different analytical techniques. And if you look at the, the major chunk of analytical technique when it comes to pharmaceutical industry, do you know what is the number one technique which takes the larger space? And that is the HPLC. That is the HPLC, high performance liquid chromatography. 90% of the analytical methods used for different purposes inside the pharmaceutical industry, you will find coming from the HPLC. So for some reason, if you're ignoring the HPLC technique, and if you want to make your career into the pharmaceutical industry, you should relook into the HPLC fundamentals. How the detection happens, how the column selection happens, how mobile phase can be prepared and selected, how the sample can be made. Huge. There's a lot more thing that you must understand when it comes to a development of a brand new analytical method. What are the physicochemical characteristics of the molecule structure? What are the functional groups that can interact with the stationary phase, that can bring the partitioning of your compound when it moves along with your mobile phase? It's very essential knowledge that you must understand. What is the pK of the compound, right? Whether the compound will be ionized at particular pH. And if it gets ionized, what is going to be the retention time of the compound? I don't know whether my thought process is you are able to relate with that or not. But it is the important activities. If you want to make a career into the quality control, into the analytical research, now this knowledge is essential. This is the important knowledge, if you want to make a career into the pharmaceutical industry. So you realize that now I need to develop a suitable analytical method for my product. And you cannot start using the HPLC, your dissolution, the gas chromatography, the FTIR, the UV spectroscopy, just by, taking the sample in the hand and running from one corner to another corner. You have multiple thoughts running into your mind that I will go with this way, I will go with that way. But it is very important to pen down all your strategies in systematic way onto a paper. And then make a strategy, right? The way we make a strategy for your exam, that, okay, I have now 30 days left in my hand. And these 30 days will be distributed by this way. And the same is applicable when it comes to the HPLC or any analytical method development. That I'm going to use this technique, I'm going to prepare the sample this way, and there must be a scientific rationale for each and every strategy. So build your strategy as good as possible. And once you have that strategy in the hand, and then you can start executing the experiments. You started using the experiment and your conclusion can be wrong sometimes. You thought of something is going to achieve based on your theory or the practical experience, but the actual outcome can be little different. And that is what you need to plan the next experiment. If your first experiment fails, that doesn't mean that you cannot go further. You have to redefine your knowledge. If this strategy doesn't work, I have to have the alternative way to move ahead. And that is very much required in product development and analytical method development. You have to have the open mind approach. You have to think out of the box. If I stuck at strategy A, I'm not able to achieve the end result that I was expecting at the beginning of experiment. I need to have the plan B too. So once you have the method developed, right, you have all the expectations met out of your experiments, and then you are going to do a validation of your methods. See, when you have the methods developed in the hand, when you have the products developed in the hand, a prototype, which according to you is going to meet the market requirement, which according to you is suitable, but how to confirm, how to make sure that what product I have, what method I have, it really meets the intended purpose. And that is called as the validation of your thoughts, validation of your, the architecture, the method parameters, the product composition. And that comes the analytical method validation. Now, this is the time you are going to prove, look here now, I run the validation completely, and there are numerous parameters to go through it. And this is the outcome. Yes, 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 everybody, yes. And I got the right method in the place. This method can be used for analysis of this particular product. Or I got the formulation composition of the paracetamol tablet right in the manner of equivalent to the reference product. My prototype is also equivalent to the competitor's one. And there is something validation. We can talk about dissolution. We can talk about the BAB studies. The clinical trials generally don't come into play for generic product. But yes, there is a need to understand the bioavailability of your drug product. That is the validation state. Once you have the validation done, once you have the product development completed, you are very much confident that this is the formula, this is the method which is certainly going to work. Then comes a time when you have to transfer this technology to the manufacturing site. Because in R&D, you cannot manufacture the product. You can only develop the prototypes, the formulations, and the products. And to get those products manufactured, you have to transfer the technique to the manufacturing site or the plant. But how one can transfer these technologies to the another site? And then that comes a stage which is called as the method transfer or the technology transfer. And there are ways to do that. How one can confirm that yes, this method is also working well into the quality control unit, because quality control unit is the unit which is going to test and release all your products into a market. So the quality control unit must be well aware, familiar with the method that you have just validated. The manufacturing team must be well aware and well trained in terms of how this product can be formulated. Maybe starting from dispensing, the shifting, the blending, the granulation, the compression, the packaging, etc. We need the transfer of the technologies. And when finally this is done, then the manufacturing of that product can be started. So once you start manufacturing the product, that doesn't mean that you are not going to face challenges. You are certainly going to face a lot of challenges, even though the technology gets transferred to you. Because The technology transfer happens in a span of 1 or 2 days, or maybe 1 week time. So how one can really grasp and understand the entire product's knowledge? It is impossible, right? And some areas probably has not been transferred very effectively. And for that reason, you may face challenges into the day ahead. So you are going to evolve yourself in understanding the product. You are going to understand the methods on the better ground, and you are going to improve the quality of the method the further. So this is the entire cycle in the brief. It is not only applicable for the analytical method, it is also applicable for any kind of the product which is developed for the pharmaceutical market. Fantastic. So having understood the brief of the analytical method development, the life cycle, let us now understand what are the analytical techniques which are really very important when it comes to the pharmaceutical industry. And these are the initial techniques we used to use, the titer matrix, isn't it? The potentiometric titration, the acid-base titration, the redox titration. I'm sure you must have learned and have this part of your syllabus, isn't it? Type yes in the chat box if you have gone through these titrations during your practicals. Thank you so much for the response. And I'm sure that the Karl-Fischer reagent is the one such a technique. I'm sure you must having in your laboratories too. Now, this is the one technique which is so versatile in its application. You go any industry, you go leather industry, probably I've not gone in the leather industry, but I'm sure that the people are using the key of titration. The pharmaceutical industry, the API, the chemical, the garment industry, anywhere, I am sure that the KF titration will be a common instrument, if not another. Such a great invention, right? For estimation of the water in solid, in the liquid, in the gas, you can use the Karl-Fischer reagent. So understand the Karl-Fischer reagent basic, because you have a time now to make yourself well versed with all those techniques. And believe me, if you have the fundamentals super clarified, you will have the upper hand when you come and join the pharmaceutical industry. You are just one step ahead. And once you enter into the lab, then you will be excited to learn and more about all this technique on the practical front. But before you touch the instrument, what is important? You should have the theory completely clarified, that I don't understand how the KF titration works. You people know better than me, because I have been in the industry for last 20 years, and many of the facts and the theories might have been forgotten by me. So it is very important for you to have those theory, as your the plus point. When it comes to chromatography, the chromatography is the major techniques of the analytical sciences when it comes to pharmaceutical industry. You go to petrochemicals, you go to peptides, proteins, biologics, small molecules, APIs, you will find existence of the chromatography. Without chromatography, you will not be able to sustain in the pharmaceutical industry. That is the importance of the chromatography. So what is the chromatography techniques we use? 90% HPLC, or recently the UHPLC. High performance liquid chromatography. How many of you have heard about the HPLC? Type me in the chat box if you heard about this technique. So please don't limit yourself just for the exam per se to understand the different modules of the HPLC. Yeah, I'm sure some of you must have heard about it. Yeah. So go through the details, go research paper, look at the articles, how the HPLC functions, how the mobile can be prepared, what is the role of different characteristics of the API when it comes to the HPLC method, how the column can be selected, what are the different stationary phases available inside the market. Go and check your HPLC into analytical lab. Observe the instrument. It's so important for you to understand the chromatography. And the same is the case for gas chromatography. Most of the times, all the solvents, the volatile materials, impurities are generally quantified by using the gas chromatography. So important technique, the HPLC gas chromatography, when it comes to the chromatography technique per se. Now, there are multiple techniques which are based on to the spectroscopy like UV, FTIR, the mass NMR, XRD, ICP-MS, the scanning electron microscopy. But don't get overwhelmed with all those techniques, right? Just begin with the very basic and fundamental techniques like UV and FTIR. I am sure you must be having this as a part of your curriculum. How the UV spectroscopy work? What is the Beer-Lambert's law? How the absorbance get increased? What is the mean by path length? What is the first necessity, the prerequisite to get the molecule UV absorption? These are very small things, and this can be learned very easily, isn't it? And the same is the case for FTIR. Believe me, if you learn this FTIR and UV spectroscopy, at least by theoretically, this is the instrument that you are going to handle when you enter the pharmaceutical industry, either in QC or in analytical lab. The mass and NMR can be a little tough to understand at the beginning for the fresher, but don't underestimate yourself. You can do it better because you know theory well than me. Mass and NMR, and very recently, the ICP-MS and ICP-OES. Now, this is the technology which is widely used for quantification of the elemental impurities like mercury, lead, platinum. These are very lethal impurities. And the limits are very low. And we need a very sensitive techniques like MS sometime, ICP-MS. So understand those techniques. Without these techniques, you will not get much friction when you join the pharmaceutical industry. The another important technique when you talk about the drug products development or analysis is the dissolution apparatus. I am sure being a pharmacist, you must be having this knowledge about the dissolution. How many of you have gone through the dissolution training? The practicals of the dissolution of the product? Yeah. Type in the chat box if you have any experience of conducting a dissolution, maybe a simple tablet like paracetamol dissolution, aceclofenac tablet dissolution, metformin. If you do not, please go visit your lab and try to conduct one dissolution test. It's so important. It's so important. Understand, observe the dissolution, how it works, how the tablet disintegrates, fragments, what are the different ways of dissolution. Learn the theory of dissolution. Quantify what is the content got released out of your dissolution testing. It's so fascinating and exciting for someone like you to understand the dissolution technique, how it works. So I strongly recommend some of the techniques like HPLC, the KF titration, the gas chromatography, and dissolution. The 4 or 5 techniques, don't go with many of them, but focus on these important techniques. Because if you learn and understand those techniques, today, you have a much higher probabilities of getting through the interviews. And I'm sure that you are targeting for the top pharmaceutical companies like Dr. Reddy's, Sun Pharma, Lupin. What is your dream pharmaceutical company? Where you want to work? Either looking forward to work in QC, analytical research, formulation research. How that ideation done, completed. Okay, I have this dream of working for Dr. Reddy's. Now to achieve that, entry into the Dr. Reddy's, you must also yourself capable of going there with the help of acquiring the right set of skill. And this is the skill I'm talking about. Once you go through this skill, understand this technique, at least on the theory basis, it's enough for you to get there. How many of you are finding important to learn about this technique? Type me in the chat box. If you're really serious about it, you will go one more time to your textbooks, your notes, and read those topics. It is very important for you. It's so important because I know how interviewer go through the interview. There are basic expectation from the pharmaceutical freshers. Some principles about the techniques, like how the UV-IR works, the Lambert-Beer's law, how the dissolution works, etc. I'm sure you can relate with my thought process. And that is what very important if you are looking forward for the pharmaceutical industry career. Now, having said that, there are certain challenges into the pharmaceutical industry, and I'm sure these challenges may be little high for you this time, but I would like to share those challenges, but just for your understanding, right? You may not be solving these challenges right away, but it is very important for you to realize how the road ahead is, how the journey is going to be. And how many of you like challenges? Would you like to get through challenges? I'm sure you love challenges taking because it is so important. If you don't challenge yourself, you will not learn something new. You will not evolve as a new person, new professional. So going through challenges is so important for your own transformation. To good to great, the journey can only happen through the challenges. You cannot do the wonders in the comfort zone. You have to go to the miracle zone. And the miracle zone can be achieved only by going through the challenges. So challenges in terms of developing a complex generics, the challenges in terms of developing a combination drug products, the challenges in terms of understanding how the mutagenic impurities can be controlled, analyzed, how the nitrosamines, can be stopped from the drug products. Now, this is the word. You go to the pharmaceutical industry, any profession, and they will say, oh my God, nitrosamine is havoc now in the pharma industry. The people really get scared when they talk about the nitrosamine. The many products, the ranitidine is the classic example, got massively impacted and wiped out from the market at one point when US FDA banned the ranitidine from the market. All the sartans, ranitidine, sartans, metformin, glipizide, you name it, and you will find that nitrosamine has impacted all the pharmaceutical products. So understand how the nitrosamine gets formed inside the pharmaceutical product. What are the resources? How to control and how to test nitrosamine inside the pharmaceutical product. And that's what it is required in the pharmaceutical industry. It is the need of the pharmaceutical industry. And if you understand the need of the pharmaceutical industry, and if you acquire yourself, if you acquire the skills and knowledge, no one is going to stop you from reaching your dream job location, the dream company. It is not about what you want first. It is always about what pharmaceutical industry is looking for from you. And it can be different from your academics. So don't restrict yourself just for the academics, because if you are looking for in the industry profession, alone academic may not help you. And if you acquire these skills and knowledge, I promise you, I guarantee you, you will succeed through all the interviews. Any top pharmaceutical company, you name it. But if you acquire this knowledge, at least on the theoretical ground, you will be far away from your own competition. Far away from your own competition. The same is the case for regulatory expectations. Now, for the person like you, just passing out of the college may not be required to understand the regulatory expectations, but have some fair idea about who are the regulators, what they need to submit the application, what kind of different studies the product has to go through. They are very simple steps, like stability studies, like method development validation, like bioequivalent studies. They are very simple, right, to understand and learn. So have this vocabulary prepared for yourself. You must be able to speak in the language of the pharmaceutical industry. The words are very important for you. May not be in the deeper manner, but at least have those knowledge. I know, yes, there is something called as a stability study. I know there is something called as a bioequivalent study. If we speak about these terms, you can easily impress the interviewer because you are someone that has a deep interest in understanding the pharmaceutical product and the industry. Now, the data integrity is such a important aspect of the pharmaceutical industry. This has been sought, the data and the integrity. So data is everything in the pharma industry. Your conclusions, your outcomes about the products, the report, the COAs are so important because based on this data, you are going to decide whether the product is good for consumption or not. And the integrity means what? How you manage the data. So this data integrity word has captured the pharmaceutical industry. And when it comes to quality control, manufacturing, all the audits, you must have heard the news in the newspaper, on the TV channel, how the companies get stuck just because of the 483s, the warning letters, the observation during the audits, the non-compliance. This is the data integrity breaching. So how you understand this data integrity concept? At least by reading some review articles, you can certainly understand that. It's a very big topic to talk about, but a fresher like you can just understand the basics of the data integrity. The skilled manpower is the challenge of the pharmaceutical industry. Is the challenge of the pharmaceutical industry now. So there are ample opportunities in front of you if you get equipped yourself with the right skill and the knowledge. Industry is looking for you. The industry is looking forward for such kind of freshers, the talent which can serve the industry, because you are the true future of the pharmaceutical industry. And having the right mindset, I believe, is very important if you are really looking forward for any kind of career. The audit and compliance is another important point that is going to confirm whether you have written something and you have followed it or not. It's like reflecting your image in the mirror, looking in the mirror, whether you are looking right, you are looking ugly. So that reflection can be seen during the audits. It's very important to understand the challenges one has to go through the compliance part. The another important challenge in the pharmaceutical industry could be in some location, in some companies, the work culture, right? The talent can be available with the person, but if there is no right culture available, the entire talent can get wasted. So it's a responsibility of the pharmaceutical industry to create such conducive culture, work culture, surroundings, environment where the freshers like you, the people can, do a great job with the help of supports of each other. So the stability is another important point where we're not only looking at, okay, I developed the product today, but what is going to happen after the 2 years? We call it as expiry date or the shelf life of the product. So how good my product is when it is stored onto the medical store at the humidity, at the high temperature, like in India and certain regions, humidity, the light. So how I am developing a product which makes sure that it will get protected from the humidity, it will get protected from the sunlight, it will get protected from the thermal degradation, the impurities will not form. And that is what the stability aspect all about. It is so important to understand this entire aspect of the stability, not down the line 2 years, but at the beginning of your product development. So what are the opportunities that you can have when it comes to the pharmaceutical testing? You can be a good method developer. And for that reason, your technical understanding, the theory part should be a very, very clarified. You must understand how the structure of the molecule looks like, what are the functional groups, what are the degradation pathways, and the different terms which are really important when it comes to an analytical method development. The stability study is another important area which has acquired a huge space of analytical testing. There is a huge space, huge manpower required for testing of the stability samples. It can be about method validation because, again, the validation is a very complex task. It requires a good amount of time and energy and the cost. And hence the people are looking for a person who is good in validating an analytical test procedure. The quality management system is something which is the backbone of your entire product quality. And there are different systems which are required to be followed during manufacturing and during testing, right? Then the qualification of the instrument, the calibration of the instrument, you can think the procedures and the controls in the labs, how you are going to control your each and every experiment. Your analytical steps can be controlled by having the right procedure in the place. It's very important how one can suitably develop those procedures. The people management, because you are not working in silo, you are not a one person working there. There are hundreds of the people working at a time in the quality control in the manufacturing. So how to manage the people? So if you are a good person, to manage the people, you have the bright career when it comes to people management. Audit and compliance, the project management, consultancy is another area of career, and the testing lab you can also set. Right? So I thought of, giving the brief idea about how the pharmaceutical industry looks like, what are the different opportunities you have in front of you when it comes to, going for this professional career. Thank you so much for listening me so patiently. Yeah, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wonderful presentation.
My pleasure. I hope I'm on time.
Yes, sir. Yes, you are. Now, I would like to hand over the session to Shravani from APR, and she will be guiding you for the certificate download. Over to you, Shravani.
Yeah, thank you. First, I would like to thank all our speakers who has given the wonderful presentation. So, yes, to all the participants, I'm just check the chat box. I'm just dropping you the link how to download the certificate steps. So when you're clicking on this link, you'll be redirecting to a dialog box. If you are a new member of APR, you have to sign up. You have to create your account, and then in the process of creating your account will be like you have to create your name, email ID, reconfirmation of your email ID, and you have to set up an alphanumerical password, and you have to do a submit button. So then you'll be getting an OTP to your email IDs, which you are supposed to enter during the time of login. So once you are logging in the main box, there is a menu. So there you can find the rewards and certificates. In the certificates column, you can find the download the certificate option with the current webinar name. And when you're downloading your certificate, it will be asking you for the email ID. So you have to provide the email ID where the same email ID when you have tried to register for the conference. So your registered email ID we're supposed to provide over there, and then you have to click your download certificate and your certificate will be downloaded. And if you're unable to download your certificate, please contact our APR members. We'll be guiding you to download the certificate, and the steps and the link was given in the chat box. Same thing, we'll be sending an email tomorrow.
Thank you, Shravani. That's all for the today's session. On the behalf of Association of Pharmaceutical Research, I would like to express my gratitude to all the speakers for their presence and contribution to making this webinar more informative and interesting session. APR extends our sincere gratitude to our speakers and participants for taking out their time from their busy schedule to grace this event. Thank you. Thank you, one and all. Have a great day.
The link is in the chat box. I'm resharing the link again. Please go through it.